evening's talk is Ariana Karp, who is a theater maker. Oh, I better put my glasses on. I'm not working without glasses. Who has worked as an actor, director, educator, and cellist in New York, London, and across the United States and Japan. She is an alumna of London Academy of Music and Drama with a master's degree in classical acting for the professional theater. In fall of 2025, she began work as a teaching artist with Marin Shakespeare Company's Shakespeare for Social Justice program in various prisons throughout California's Central Valley. She's taught university courses and has extensive teaching and directing experience focused on empowering individuals and developing ensembles through using movement to activate the text through the body. The quick raise process, textual analysis, Laben, movement work, voice and vocal technique, and innovative staging of intimacy and violence through abstraction. She will be up in just a second. Thank you all for joining us for Theater Lovers Club. Anyone that would like to make a donation, please do. We have scheduled our talk for next month, which will be on two actors talking about Japanese acting techniques. Wow. Very different. So we're looking forward to that. So welcome, Ariana. Take it away.
Folks, please forgive my bare feet. I put them in shoes and it just didn't feel right. So, I like being in this space barefoot. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Ariana Karp. I'm the Artistic Director of Insight Shakespeare Company Santa Fe. And yeah, I am a big old text nerd, and I have been doing Shakespeare since I was 13 years old. It is sort of the organizing concept around most of my life, and I'm very passionate about it and very excited to talk with all of you about some of the techniques and tools that have come from various different parts of my life that I've been very privileged to have incredible mentors in Richard DePrima from the Young Shakespeare Players in Madison, Wisconsin, a program that the Upstart Crows of Santa Fe is actually based off of, that does uncut Shakespeare for kids aged 6 to 18. I did 36 shows with them between the ages of 13 and 19. And that was really, for me, very much the grounding in my passion for this work and also the techniques that I still use to this day in terms of when I'm given a script. I will talk about Richard a lot. My mentor, he passed away about 4 years ago, but his techniques were very much based on textual analysis. What I've tried to do as I get older is I realized when I got to drama school and was told by every single teacher that I had, Ariana, you don't need to do more development of your analysis. You need to get it into your body, right? So they were like, if you spend any of your time, I was literally told this in the first month of drama school, any of your time working on textual analysis, you are wasting your money. So please get it into your body. So what I'm aiming to do today is to just talk through some of the aspects that I look for in Shakespeare when I receive a Shakespeare text, and then sort of share a couple different ways that how did those, the important thing for me is how does the analysis then translate into performance? Because I firmly believe that Shakespeare isn't truly Shakespeare until it's spoken. It doesn't mean it has to be spoken by actors. I think it's phenomenal if it's read out loud in any context. But the sonic element of Shakespeare, the way that the words sound, is essential to what it is. I got in a lot of fights with my college professors when I was in the English department when we would analyze Shakespeare as literature, which it really is not, in my opinion, in my very humble opinion as a very opinionated actor. It is not literature. It is active, it is breathing, and it changes no matter who is speaking it. And that fluidity and that, I think just bouncing around here, Ovid, for those of you who are big classical nerds, which I'm sure, this being Santa Fe and us being so close to St. John's, I'm sure there's a few of you. I really think Ovid's Metamorphosis was probably Shakespeare's favorite book. It was probably right there, because there are literally passages that are just lifted and plopped into a show. You're like, all right, this was, they had different copyright laws back then, not the same thing. But that idea of metamorphosis and that the text changes with each voice and each iteration of the relationships, I think is, for me, the foundation of why I keep doing this work. I want to hear Ophelia's lines coming from Myri. I want to hear Polonius's lines coming from Amy, right? And they're bringing their life experience and all their talents and all their training to that really specific moment of meeting with the text. So, there's a handout for everyone. Just to say, if you are really interested in this, I do teach for the ISC some Zoom workshops. We're going to be starting back up in the fall. It's called Text Work, Decoding Shakespeare for Actors and Readers. They're really fun. I have a couple folks here who have taken them, and basically, this is the curriculum. Good job. And each one of the workshops focuses on a very specific aspect of Shakespeare's text. So the one that is, to me, the most fundamental, which we'll start with talking about, is rhythm, right? And what does the rhythm of Shakespeare's verse tell us? What clues does it give us? And when the rhythm changes, what happens to the text? And what juicy little things can we glean as actors from that? We also do one on imagery, which we'll also talk about. What does the way a character sees, what can you tell about the way a character sees the world? One of my favorite examples of this is from a show that we did last summer in Othello, where at the very beginning of the play, and I'm sorry, Andrew, I'm just going to be going Iago. Andrew is not a Iago-ish person, but he was our Iago, so I'm just, we think in space. All of Iago's images are devils, demons, beasts, hell, explicit sexual images, coldness, heat. Othello's imagery at the beginning of the play is all these like epic adventure stories and traveling and making Desdemona into a warrior and like the glory and honor of war. As Iago begins to sort of poison Othello's mind, Othello starts saying things like goats and monkeys, a devil, a born devil, when he never ever mentioned animals or devils in the first half of the play. And so this idea that like he takes on Iago's view of the world, and that's ultimately what destroys him, because Iago's view of the world is quite nihilistic and quite bleak. So little things like that, little things about, wow, okay, this character was using these kind of images, and then all of a sudden their imagery is changing. They're in a different world. Something huge has happened to this character. So these types of micro moments into macro moments are really, to me, what textual analysis is about. We're also going to talk a little bit about antithesis, which is setting the word against the word, which is not necessarily opposites, but when we're having two contrasting ideas held up together. Probably the most famous antithesis, which if you come and see our Hamlet, you will hear, is Hamlet's to be or not to be, right? Very simple. To be, not to be. Ta-da! Balancing them. So anyway, all of these are very specific aspects of textual analysis that we can dive into. I thought it would be nice to go through a few of them with a very specific speech, which is from one of my favorite plays and one of my favorite speeches. It's from Twelfth Night, and it is Viola's ring speech. So there's a lot going on in this play, right? With Viola, she's disguised as she's been shipwrecked. First of all, we start off the play with a huge trauma. She's lost her twin brother. She thinks her brother has drowned. She kind of takes on his identity and a new name. She disguises herself as a boy. She finds employment. She falls in love with her boss. Not a great idea. And then her boss, she becomes so integral to the household that she's sent to go on errands, like, oh, go woo this lady for me, right? I'm too busy. And she does so very successfully. And she leaves, and we'll actually show you that scene a little bit later. But she leaves, and Olivia throws this ring at her through Malvolio. And so she's received this ring, and she's very confused about why she's received it, because she didn't give up with what is she talking about? And so if we go down to on the analyzing a speech, helpful questions, much of this comes from John Barton and the Playing Shakespeare series, which was a wonderful series that came out in the 1980s. When I teach Shakespeare, I frequently have my students watch multiple episodes because I still to this day have not found anything that sort of hammers the point home than those 9 episodes. Most speeches break into about 3 parts. So they pick up something from the immediate situation and they respond to it. That's like the very beginning of the speech. They then explore that situation or problem. That makes up the bulk of the speech. Like, well, what about this? What about this? And then at the end, they either come to a conclusion or they determine that there is no conclusion that they can make. And this speech falls into that latter category of like, I can't do anything about this. I need help. So, as we're going through that, let's think about, we'll be going in, zooming in and zooming out in terms of the structure of this speech. So does anyone know this speech?
Yes.
Very well. Yes, Jennifer, can you tell me what this speech is about?
It's about her discovering that Olivia is in love with her.
Beautiful. Yeah. Very simply, it's the realization that this woman she has gone to woo for her master, who she's in love with, is in love with her. Oh boy. The most sharp of all shapes, a love triangle, right? Great. So, know what you're saying for me is number 1, the most important part of any speech. I think we've all seen, unfortunately, it's a very big pet peeve of mine as a Shakespeare nerd, we have all gone and seen a show where it was very clear that the actors did not know what they were saying. They were sort of intoning the lines in a way that sounds mildly lyrical. And to me, that turns Shakespeare, again, into poetry, which it is not. It is active, it is dialogue, it is breathing. So very important, know what you're saying. And it seems like a very obvious step, but it is remarkable to me how many times it is skipped. So going through this, do I have a volunteer to just read it out for us? Because I'm getting sick of my own voice already. Thank you, in the back, all right. And if there's, for all of us, as we're going through, if there is any moment or a word that we don't understand, can you just sort of raise your hand or go, beep, beep, and we'll just pause. Take it away, Maestro.
I left no ring with her. What means this lady? Fortune forbid, my outside have not charmed her. She made good view of me, indeed so much that methought her eyes had lost her tongue. For she did speak in starts distractedly. She loves me, sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. None of my lord's ring? Why, he sent her none. I'm the man. If it be so, as 'tis, poor lady, she were better love a dream. Disguise, I see thou art a wickedness, wherein the pregnant enemy does much. How easy it is for the proper faults of women's waxen hearts to set their whores. Alas, our frailty is the cause, not we. For such as we are made of, such we be. How will this badge? My master loves her dearly, and I, poor monster, fond as much on him. And she, mistaken, seems to dote on me. What will become of this? As I am man, my state is desperate for my master's love. As I am woman, now, alas the day. What thriftless sighs shall poor Olivia breathe? O time, thou must untangle this, not I. It is too hard a knot for me to untie.
Beautifully read. Huge round of applause. Bravo. That was lovely. Bravo. Really beautifully read. With intention and focus and phrasing. Well done. There were a couple moments there that I was like, I need to look up that particular moment. Did anyone else have any? Fadge. Yes. Fadge, which can often sound like something else that makes the whole audience go, what did she just say? Which is always entertaining. Vag here means simply, how will this turn out? What's going to happen? What will become of this, in fact? For me, the pregnant enemy does much. That's a little hazy for me. I looked that one up just now on the very useful Shakespeare's Words website. Pregnant here meaning wily or resourceful. I like the idea of it's like a little demon that's like ready to jump out as the enemy, right? And then proper false. Anyone have any thoughts on that one? Proper false. If I put it in context this way, oh, he's a proper man. What impression would that give to you? The opposite?
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Let me see if I can change that. Oh, he's a proper man.
He's everything that embodies a man.
Right. Yeah. Proper. So proper here meaning like good looking, like charming. Yeah, very much. Very nice. Yeah. And then let's see, proper false. So it's this is going to be one of our antitheses. Woo! Proper, right, being good, and false being bad. Deceitful here, I think, right? So the proper false. So it's a good-looking man who is deceitful, right? And that is this antithesis that we're grappling with in here. Okay, so what's lovely about this speech too, there's not a lot of antiquated words that we don't use anymore, right? It's fairly minimum. But important that we know what we're saying. Step one.
What about thriftless?
Oh, thriftless. Good one. Thriftless. Any ideas on that one? Thriftless sign? It's like pointless. Sign for nothing. Poor Olivia. Nothing will come of her love.
Waxen hearts. Waxen hearts.
Waxen hearts. Ooh, lovely. There's and
Make
see
it like
each of these we're
these.
getting into an image or an antithesis or another one of these aspects of textual analysis. So waxen hearts. What when you get wax hot, what does it do? It melts, right? Waxen heart. So it's easy to leave an impression upon. I think would be the way I would.
It is too malleable, too.
Yeah, women have
Too-
waxen hearts.
Unreliable.
And those
Yeah.
proper falsets can
Set
set
their
their forms
forms.
into the waxen hearts.
Brilliant, Myri. Thank you. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. Do we kind of have a good sense of what very basically what she is saying? Yes. Okay. Oh my God, we can move on to step 2. Go us. What is the context of this speech? So what happens immediately before? Any 12th Night lovers out there? I kind of already explained it, but Olivia, we will show you the scene actually. Viola has gone to Olivia's house, has basically said, please love Orsino. Olivia's like, no, tell me more. And then Viola leaves, and Olivia's like, oh my God, what is happening to me? Send this, hey, Malvolio, my steward, take this ring and go give it to that churlish, I don't want it anymore. And so Malvolio comes and gives and says, hey, take this ring back. And Viola's like, what are you talking about? Take this ring back. This is no ring. And he's like, okay, fine. I drop it, I leave, and have a sassy retort. And then Viola's left alone on stage, and to quote one of my favorite John Barton things is the reason I think Shakespeare works is we share with the audience our problems. If every Hamlet soliloquy becomes, what do I do? What do I do? It shuts us off, right, from his problems. If they're shared with the audience, we feel an investment in in whatever the character's problem is. So Viola here, I think, is sharing the confusion and trauma of her situation in this really quite beautiful way. So that's the context for this speech. She's got to figure out, what do I do? Oh my God, I think this woman might be in love with me. I'm not who she thinks I am. this is going to not end well. Wonderful. So, and that kind of also takes care of the next question, which is, what is the motivation for the speech? Why is it being said? Just based on your brief knowledge, does anyone have any idea? Like, why would she say this speech?
Just trying to figure out what's going on.
Trying to figure it out, right? Alexander Lane, one of our associate artists, has this wonderful saying that came from a Shakespeare teacher of his, who I really have to find out who this teacher is and what their name is, because I use this quote all the time. He said, in contemporary drama, characters have to think, help me out here, guys.
They have to figure out how they
Feel in order to speak. Characters have to figure out how they feel about something in order to speak. In Shakespeare, characters have to speak in order to figure out how they feel about something.
Yeah.
Speech is always active. It is never passive. There is no such thing as a casual moment in Shakespeare. It wouldn't be on stage if it was casual. Yeah.
Does the fact that it's a soliloquy also add some context to how the speech needs to be analyzed from that perspective?
I think so too, because actually, you are anticipating my next question. Who is the audience for this speech? Right? Because not all speeches in Shakespeare are just one actor alone on stage. Most of them, in fact, are two actors, or three, or four, or five, or, you know, if we're in Henry VIII, 200 people on stage in the trial scene, right? So who is the audience of this speech? Is it simply the audience in the house? Is it another character? Do they know they're being listened to? Which is a question we're really asking a lot in Hamlet. Who knows when they're being watched? That has a huge effect on the nature of the speech. So who is the audience for this speech?
I think it's Viola.
Right,
In other
Viola.
words, she questioning herself, that's how, this is to me always the scene where I fall in love with her. Because this is such a wise speech.
Yeah.
And it shows such sensitivity that she's questioning her own heart. And
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And I think, again, to bring that idea, if a person is alone on stage, my default, usually as a facilitator, director, actor, share the problem with the audience. Because it's inclusive, right? And I think when Shakespeare becomes exclusive, it stops working. So we always want to include the audience in Shakespeare. It's, as we like to say, it's our final audience. It's our final ensemble member, the audience. And the show changes. They're there. Woohoo! So the audience of the speech. Here's where we're going to get into Lobbin. Where did she go? Lobbin. I did a lot of work when I was in drama school with Rudolf Lobbin, movement psychology. He was a movement practitioner. If anyone is in the dance world, you may have heard of Lobbin notation, which was a system he devised for essentially creating an alphabet of movement, so that it's obviously very important in a day where you couldn't just be like, okay, I'm going to film the choreography and then we'll pass it down. So it was like, okay, in Swan Lake, how many fouettes are we doing in this one moment? I can write that down, I can notate that. And it's actually a dance system that is still used to this day. Like, I know that because I'm a nerd, I know that the Royal Ballet has these very carefully curated, coveted, you know, the ballets. This is the Ashton version of Swan Lake, and this is the Lobbin notation for it, and this is how we pass the choreography down. But he did a lot of stuff with movement psychology as well, like what motivates us to move in the body. And so one of his ideas that I have really grabbed onto for whatever reason that I find very useful as an actor is the idea of his that we're always in contact with an object, a person, or an idea. In every moment of our life, we are in contact with one of those three things. So I like to shape that a little bit and think about, well, if it's an object, am I going towards it, or am I backing away from it? And just that very, 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 very simple binary of going, am I, pushing it, or am I pulling it? Am I going towards it? Am I going away from it? Can be really helpful when we're thinking about the movement. So this is, before we go on to more, I would love to get a whole bunch of volunteers to be the people, objects, and ideas that Viola encounters in this speech. So, if I've left one off, please let me know. As I read through here, Viola is a person who is in this space, right? So I'll do that. We need a ring. Who would like to be the ring? Thank you, Susanna. Let's get you right here. Okay. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Olivia. Anyone want to be Olivia? Anyone?
Be brave.
Thank you. Jennifer, let's have you here as Olivia. Fortune. The idea of fortune. Wonderful. Could I have you down here? Lovely. Malvolio. The churlish messenger. Who's feeling a little sassy. Great, fantastic. Have you over here. Wonderful. Orsino. Anyone like to be Orsino?
The lover.
Orsino. Really? It's such a good part. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Here we go. Let's have you right over here. Disguise. Disguise. Phenomenal. Malvolio. Ring. Fortune. Disguise. And frailty. Frailty.
Nobody wants.
I promise you, just have to stand there. I want to. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Woo! Mom to the rescue. And time. Finally, time. Time? Oh, no. Please, come and be time. So, we've got Viola. We've got the ring. We have Olivia. We have Fortune. We have Malvolio. We have Orsino. We have Sky. Ooh, lovely. Ooh, I love a gesture. Let's go. We have frailty. And we have time. Okay, so for me, I'm just going to read through this and I'm going to try and make a decision in the moment. Is she going towards this idea, person, or object, or is she going away from it? I left no ring with her. What means this lady? Fortune forbid my outside have not charmed her. She made good view of me. Indeed, so much that sure methought her eyes had lost her tongue. She did speak and starts distractedly. She loves me. Sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. None of my lord's ring, why she sent her none. I am the man. If it be so as 'tis, poor lady, she were better love of dream. Disguise. I see thou art a wickedness, wherein the pregnant enemy does much. Is it for the proper false in women's waxen hearts to set their forms, alas? Oh, frailty is the cause, not we. For such as we are made, if such we be. Follow this sad. My master loves her dearly, and I, poor monster, fond as much on him, and she mistaken seems to dote on me. What will become of this? As I am man, my state is desperate for my master's love. As I am woman, now alas the day, what thriftless sighs shall poor Olivia breathe? Oh! Time! Thou must untangle this knot I. It is too hard a knot for me to untie. So you can see how bringing the thing into the space can be really helpful for sorting through how the character is feeling about the idea, the object, the person at any given moment. Thank you all so much. Awesome. So, yeah. Also, just little nerd thing of many times in Shakespeare, a character will call out time, or disguise, fortune. These ideas, they call that an apostrophe in Shakespeare's time, right? And addressed to something that isn't there. I will say, how do I put this? My bias as an actor is to always bring the idea into the space in some way. Whether it's an audience member, whether it's like, yeah, time, let's have a conversation. But just bringing that object physically into the space can help to illuminate her relationship to all these ideas as we go through. Cool. Lovely. Other things that I think stay the same whether you're doing Shakespeare or contemporary text is, where are the beats? Where do the thoughts change? And this is something you sort of learn acting 101. It's like, all right, this is what you're doing for this moment. This is what you're doing for this moment. I find that there is, as a personal thing, that I'm looking for thought changes more often than I'm looking for motivation changes, as it were. When does the thought change? When does it shift? Because if you can trace the character's thought, it becomes clear to the audience, right? If they can go on that journey of the thought process with you. So in this way, I would probably go through this as I have here, and I would divide it into whenever I saw a terminal punctuation mark. So there's quite a lot at the beginning, right? I left no ring with her. There's 1. What means this lady? There's 2. Fortune forbid my outside have not charmed her. There's 3. And then we get a 3-line sentence, and then we get a whole bunch of little ones. And looking at when a character has very steady thoughts that are approximately the same length, that usually to me indicates a type of stability. If you look at some of, dare I say, no, I won't say it, we're in theater. If you look at some of the Scottish dudes' speeches, particularly right after the murder, the thoughts go from being incredibly short to 12 lines long. Similarly, I was looking at objects in space. Juliet's poison speech before she drinks the vial. And she has a whole bunch of very, very, very short thoughts. And then she has this big what if. And the what if goes on for 20 lines, I believe. And that's to me an indication, she's becoming intoxicated by this idea. This idea is taking over her. And so things like the way that thought length changes can also be an indication of something going on with the character. And that's really, to me, I just want to always bring it back to the point of textual analysis is to try and figure out what's going on with the character in this moment. Are there any changes between heightened language and naturalistic language? Does anyone have a sense of what I mean when I say heightened language? Soaring. Ooh, I love that because there's an image in there, right? Soaring. Poetic, right? It's something that contains, to me, a lot of images, maybe very high verse. May I borrow you, Andrew?
Yeah.
This is my friend Andrew. He's a wonderful actor, and I'm giving this to him cold. This is Casca from Julius Caesar. Casca, when we first meet Casca, is very kind of sardonic. He's a little bit cynical. He's kind of over everything. And he speaks in prose. And Brutus and Cassius are sort of the conspirators, and they're asking him, well, what happened? We were conspiracizing over here. We don't know what happened. Will you tell us? And so Casca gives a very sort of droll and what I would consider like a naturalistic speech in prose. I'm sorry, what's your cue line?
Tell us the manner of it.
Tell us the manner of it, gentle Casca.
I can as well be hanged as tell the manner of it. It were mere foolery. I did not mark it. I saw Mark Antony offer him a crown, yet 'twas not a crown, neither. It was one of those coronets, and as I told you, he put it by once, but for all that, to my thinking, he would fain have had it. Then he offered it to him again, then he put it by again. But to my thinking, he was very loath to lay his fingers off it. And then he offered it a third time. He put it by a third time. And still, as he refused it, the rabblement hooted and clapped their chapped hands and threw up their sweaty nightcaps and uttered such a deal of stinking breath because Caesar refused the crown that it almost choked Caesar, for he swooned and fell down at it. And for mine own part, I durst not laugh, for fear of opening my lips and receiving the bad air.
Wonderful, thank you so much. What impressions do we get of this character? This is literally the first time he speaks. What impressions do we have of this character?
Smart guy.
Smart? Yeah, smart guy. A little bit of a smart aleck, I might
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
A little snarky.
Very snarky. A little bit elitist, I think. A little over everything.
A little cynical.
Cynical.
Irreverent. Irreverent.
Irreverent. Lovely word. Yes. Great. That's the first time we meet him. 100 lines later, this is his entrance.
Are you not moved when all the sway of earth shakes like a thing unfirm? Cicero, I have seen tempests when the scolding winds have rived the knotty oaks, and I have seen the ambitious ocean swell and rage and foam to be exalted with the threatening clouds. But never till tonight, never till now, did I go through a tempest dropping fire. Either there is a civil strife in heaven, or else the world, too saucy with the gods, incenses them to send destruction.
What impressions do you have of this character now? Just 100 lines later.
Scared.
Scared, right?
Emotional.
Emotional, right? And to me, the biggest indicator here is not only that he switches from prose, which is basically not verse, right? It's like novels are prose. Novels are prose. He switches into iambic pentameter. There's a rhythm to what he's saying. There's a rhythm that's driving it. And also the images go from sweaty nightcaps to a tempest dropping fire, right? Like that's a huge shift. Something has happened to this character from when we last saw him 100 lines before. We can glean from clues that it's this unearthly storm that is happening, and we're going to get a lot of confirmations that this storm is not like anything anyone has ever seen before. But how powerful is it to hear that from the voice of who we've established as a cynic, rather than someone who's always like emotional, right? If somebody is always emotional, and they're like, oh my god, a storm! We're like, yeah, you said that last scene. We don't care, right? But if someone's coming in and is like, yeah, I'm just disengaging, everything is the worst, and everyone's gross and sweaty, and then comes in and is like, oh my god! We're gonna pay attention to him, right? Because of that switch, because we've, not only have we swiped to the form, we've gone from prose to verse, which indicates a higher level of emotional engagement in this case, I think, but also the language has changed. We've gone from very, very everyday sort of quotidian images into the epic play, right? Fantastic. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Are there any internal stage directions? This is always a really good one. Yes.
Well, I had a quick question.
Please.
Obviously, with this field monologue here, it says, "I am the man."
Yeah.
Right? And so that obviously to me is a laugh line, right?
It can be.
It can be a laugh.
Yeah.
You know the Amanda Bynes movie, right? She's the man. That's what this line.
Yes, exactly.
It's a minor variation, but it seems like that there would be a time where perhaps the audience, because she's coming to this realization herself, and it's obvious to us already,
Yes.
right, that there'd be laughter there. But how does that affect the iambic pentameter when she picks it back up?
Great question. So that I am a man.
Because she's not just going to run over,
Right.
right?
There are many different philosophies and systems about how to speak Shakespeare's verse. and I don't want to get too bogged down in it now, but what is really remarkable to me is, I'll give you 3 quotes from 3 different theater practitioners who are maybe the most respected directors of Shakespeare in the 20th century. Sir Peter Hall. Shakespeare's verse is entirely built on its linear structure. The end of the line must be lightly marked, rather like a pianist uses a legato pedal to shape the end of one phrase and announce the beginning of the next. John Barton. You must breathe at the end of every line. Tyrone Guthrie. You must be able to say 12 lines of Shakespearean verse on one breath. What do we do? What do we do? These are 3 of maybe the most famous, most well-renowned directors, all have very different ideas about how to speak Shakespeare's verse. I prefer not to take a side on that, but what I will note, and if you're more interested, please take the architecture workshop, because we talked about this. I know, it's a shameless plug, I'm sorry. But I am the man. Terminal punctuation mark. If it be so as 'tis. Right, so that's a very regular line of iambic pentameter. But we have a terminal punctuation mark in the middle of the line. And that is what I would term a caesura. Or for those of you who know music, it's like, it's not a stop, it's a pause. Right, just like in music, a rest is not necessarily a stop, it's a silence before we get to the next thing. And so with I am the man, this would be, to go super nerd on you, this would be an example of a masculine caesura, because the pause is coming after an emphasized, a stressed syllable. So if it was I am the, it would be what's known as a lyric caesura, or a feminine caesura. I prefer to use lyric. Gender and caesuras, come on. But I am the man. Pause for laughter. So I think you can very much, I'm a very firm believer, I want a raucous audience. I want them screaming, I want them crying, I want snot everywhere. I want them laughing. And I think you have to adapt to what your audience is giving you. And there's a beautiful moment for a pause there because we have a terminal line. I am the man. Oh my God, what is happening? If it be so, and if is wonderful because it gives us a transition. It gives us a change of direction, like the words but, yet, so, if, because are all transition points. So because I think there is, you absolutely nailed it, there is a moment where we're changing directions there, we can absolutely take a pause in the middle of the line. There's also things, there's a lot of similar confusion on if there is a caesura in every line. Cecily Berry, who was the vocal coach for the RSC for years and years and years, insists that in every single line of Shakespeare there is a pause. Other people say no, there isn't. So it's, again, as an actor, you're kind of receiving these totally contradicting philosophies, and you kind of have to make of it what you will. Pun very much intended there.
And the character's name is Cesario she's playing.
Yes, Cesario, yes. Yeah, exactly. Little Caesar.
Yes.
Wonderful. Internal stage direction. So sometimes there will be something like, maybe one of the most difficult stage directions in Shakespeare in a speech is Imogen in Cymbeline wakes up, has been drugged, is very disoriented, and then realizes there is a headless body next to her. That's a huge task for an actor to deal with that, right? Because there's no like, she discovers a headless body. It's like you have to pick the you have to find the moment. Where does she discover she's lying next to a headless body, who she then believes is her husband, even though it's not. Spoilers. But also, but like, what does she do in that moment? How does she react? And the wonderful thing about Shakespeare is there is so much freedom because we don't, when you get a contemporary play, even a modern play, I grew up doing a lot of George Bernard Shaw's. I think Shaw was a very frustrated novelist. Sometimes his stage directions at the beginning of the play are longer than the play itself. They're like, no, now this window has to be here, and the curtains have to be just so, and he has to come in there, and this is exactly like, Joan of Arc has to have eyes that are very widely set apart. Okay, that's going to limit your casting choices there, Sean, But with Shakespeare, it's like, if we have an epic battle, it just says, they fight. Someone dies, right? So there's so much freedom there given to the producer to figure out, well, what's the nature of that? One of the things we always talk about in our quick raise process, what is our language of intimacy? What is our language of, we were working on this today, what is our language of violence? What is our language of death? Because we don't always do it realistically because there is so much freedom. Great. Looking at the first line of a speech, looking at the last line of a speech, and figuring out what changes. So if we look at this one, I left no ring with her, what means this lady, to, oh time, thou must entangle this, not I, right? She's gone on a journey. She's gone on from confusion to more confusion, I think. But it's still a journey of confusion, right? So we're making that journey. We could spend the entire time looking at rhythmic irregularities, but what I will say is there is a very nice heartbeat in Shakespeare to most of the work. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Some people tap. You do like this. What do you guys do? Do you gallop?
Oh, I do it.
I've seen actors do it.
It's
when you need to warm up. We all have different ways of internalizing that rhythm, but that rhythm there's a reason that for the text work, I called it rhythm Shakespeare's heartbeat, because it is the heartbeat of the play, it's the rhythm. And sometimes, to quote one of my former teachers, Rodney Cotier, it's the heartbeat. Sometimes your character has a heart attack. There's one here in the first speech. I left no ring with her. What means this lady? There's a little extra called the double ending there. Not really irregular, just a little extra. Milo's a little extra, Fortune. Oh, that's not right. We don't say fortune. Fortune forbid my outside hath not charmed her. Right? So there we already the violence of the thought that, oh my God, it's already there in the rhythm, right? Oh, I hope she didn't fall in love with me. And we hear that because the rhythm is disrupted slightly at the beginning there. That's a 4-week course, so come join. And then any images, and I talked about this a little bit before. What is the nature of the imagery that the character is using? And what does that tell you as the reader or as the actor about the way that the character sees the world? I love to sometimes do with students, I won't tell them who the character is, and I'll just have them read a whole bunch of excerpts. My favorite two to put in contrast are the Scottish dude and Cleopatra. Because the images they use are so different, right? Macbeth is like, pale haggard, withered murderer, with the wolf, Tarquin's ravishing stride, blood, there's so much blood. And we realize, wow, this man is so deeply traumatized from the second that we see him, right? He has lived up to his eyes in blood for so much of his life. This man is so deeply traumatized. We meet Cleopatra. She uses a lot of language about the body. She talks about body parts like eyes and lips. There's a deep sensuality to so much of her text. She talks about music being the moody food of us that trade in love. She has really, really sort of images about Antony when she's thinking, oh, where is he now? Is he standing or is he sitting? Ooh, I wonder if he's sitting on his horse. Oh, happy horse. I wish I was that horse. She's a different character, and she uses different images. But we get a sense of who she is by the imagistic universe that she creates and conjures. So that's pretty fun. Lastly, this is something that, for me, I've just found as an actor, I have one of my many Q scripts with me here. One of the first things I do is I go through my script and I underline every single verb in green. Green in my mind means go. Because we do have a tendency as Americans to overemphasize personal pronouns. And personal pronouns in Shakespeare are usually not that important. To give an example, the phrase that hopefully many of us have said many times and had said to us, I love you. If I say I love you, What impression do you get? No, it's me! I love you! Right?
Possessive.
If I say, I love you, what impression does that give? Like a protesting, like, no, you got it all wrong. I love you. I love you. What impression do you get? Love, right? The active part of that sentence is love. So, to me, I find that almost always, and there are obviously exceptions, and that's the thing I love about Shakespeare and rules, is they're really, to quote Pirates of the Caribbean, they're more guidelines than actual rules, right? So, I like to find the verbs, because they, to me, anchor the text, and whenever I'm lost, it's always like, okay, I'm going through one of Viola's speeches right now. Make, call, write, contend, sing, halloo, make, cry, rest, pity. That gives me a lot of information about the emotional journey of the speech just by saying the verbs in isolation. So those are some just like of the many different ways that we can work when we're looking at a speech or a bit of text. What I'd love to sort of end with, if I could steal you, Andrew. Andrew and I have a two-person show called Shakespeare's Duets, Turn and Change. We did it here back in 2023, and we just did it in Massachusetts, in North Adams. And it is basically, essentially, a look at the way that Shakespeare wrote two-person scenes. And we do we do usually about 5 different duets, and one of the ones that we have always done is Viola and Olivia. So, something remarkable about this Viola-Olivia speech, just to get back into when something changes from prose into verse. We're going to start the scene very much in prose, and suddenly we're not in prose anymore. And I think I'll maybe stop us when I've switched to prose, and then when you've switched to verse, because it's at different moments. So, here we go. All right.
Good time.
Yeah, sure.
Give me my veil, come throw it o'er my face. We'll once more hear Orsino's embassy.
The Honorable Lady of the House, which is she?
Speak, I will answer for her. What's your will?
Most radiant, exquisite, and unmatchable beauty. I pray you, tell me if this be the lady of the house. I never saw her. I would be loath to cast away my speech, for besides that it is excellently well penned, I have taken great pains to con it.
Whence came you, sir?
I can say little more than I have studied, and that question is out of my part. Good gentleman, give me modest assurance if you be the lady of the house that I may proceed in my speech.
Are you a comedian?
No! My profound heart, and yet, by the very fangs of malice, I swear, I am not that I play. Are you the lady of the house?
If I do not usurp myself, I am.
Well, certain if you are she, you do usurp yourself, for what is yours to bestow is not yours to reserve. But this is from my commission. I go on with my speech in your praise, and then show you the heart of my message.
Come to what is important in it. I forgive you the praise.
Alas, I took great pains to study it. It is poetical.
It is the more like to be feigned. I pray you, keep it in. I heard you were saucy at my gates, and allowed your approach rather to wonder at you than to hear you. If you be mad, be gone. If you have reason, be brief. 'Tis not that time of moon with me to make one in so skipping a dialogue.
Tell me your mind. I'm a messenger.
Sure, you have some hideous matter to deliver, when the courtesy of it is so fearful. Speak your office.
I hold the olive in my hand. My words are as full of peace as matter.
Yet you began rudely. What are you? What would you?
The rudeness that hath appeared to me have I learnt from my entertainment. What I am and what I would are as secret as maidenhead. Your ears, divinity. To any others, profanation.
Give us the place alone. We will hear this divinity. Now, sir, what is your text?
Most sweetly.
A comfortable doctrine, and much may be said of it. Where lies your text?
In Orsino's bosom.
In his bosom. In what chapter of his bosom?
To answer by the method, in the first of his heart.
Ah! I have read it. It is heresy. Have you no more to say?
Good madam, let me see your
Have you any commission from your lord to negotiate with my face? You're now out of your text. But we will draw the curtain and show you the picture. With you now, sir. Such a one I was at present. It's not well done.
Here, Lila switches to verse. Excellently done. If God did all.
Is ingrained, sir. Will endure wind and weather.
His beauty truly blends, whose red and white nature's own sweet and cunning hand laid on. Lady, you are the cruelest she alive, if you will lead these graces to the grave and leave the world no copy.
Sir, I will not be so hard-hearted. I will give out diverse schedules of my beauty. It will be inventoried, and every particle and utensil labeled to my will, as item 2 lips, indifferent red. Item 2 gray eyes with lids to them. Item 1 neck, 1 chin, and so forth. Were you sent hither to praise me?
I see you, what you are. You are too proud, but if you were the devil, you are fair. My lord and master loves you.
How does he love me?
Oh yeah, we cut that part. Sorry, my bad.
How does he love me?
That's when Olivia switches to verse. With adorations, fertile tears, with groans that thunder love, with sighs of fire.
Your lord does know my mind. I cannot love him. He might have took his answer long ago.
If I did love you, in my master's flame, with such a suffering, such a deadly life, in your denial I would find no sense. I would not understand it.
Why? What would you?
Make me a willow cabin at your gate, and call upon my soul within the house. Write loyal cantons of contemned love, and sing them loud, even in the dead of night. Halloo your name to the reverberate hills, and make the babbling gossip of the air cry out, Olivia! Ah! You should not rest between the elements of air and earth, but you should pity me.
You might do much. What is your parentage?
Above my fortune, yet my state is, well, I am a gentleman.
Get you to your lord. I cannot love him. He might have took his answer long ago. Let him send no more, unless perchance you come again to tell me how he takes it. Fare you well. I thank you for your pains. Take this for me.
Oh, I am no feed post, lady. Keep your purse. My master, not myself, lacks recompense. Love, make his heart a flint that you shall love, and let your fervor, like my master's, be placed in contempt. Farewell, fair cruelty.
What is your parentage? Above my fortunes, yet my state is well. I am a gentleman. I'll be sworn thou art. Thy tongue, thy face, thy limbs, action, and spirit do give thee 5-fold blaze, and not too fast. Soft. Unless the master were the man. How now? Even so quickly can one catch plague? Methinks I feel this youth's perfections with an invisible and subtle stealth to creep in and at mine eyes. Well, let it be. Run after the same peevish messenger, the lord's, the count's man. He left this ring with me. Would I or no? Tell him I'll none of it. If that the youth will come this way tomorrow, I'll give him reasons for it. I do I know not what. I fear to find mine eye too great a flatterer for my mind. Fate, show thy force. Ourselves we do not owe. What is decreed must be, and be this so.
What do you make of that moment of switch from prose to verse? Are there any observations about specifically what point that happened in the scene.
Well, the first part is like what we call witty banter.
Yes,
in
lovely,
Shakespeare.
perfect,
This
yeah.
kind of comic back and forth, and then it becomes more serious.
Yes.
As soon as she sees his face.
She sees her rival's face, right? And I must say, I think one of the things, Viola is one of my favorite characters, and I think one of the reasons is she is such an empath, right? She doesn't see Olivia and is like, gross, why? You know, she's like, oh my God, of course he's in love with you. Oh my God, I have no chance. And there is something in her knowing that about herself that to me is like deeply endearing about her as a character. But it's that shock of seeing the face that she knows the person she loves, that is like, and for Olivia, where she changes is right around when she asks Viola, well, what would you do if you did love me in your master's flame? Right, she's first. Which is to me an indication, whoa, something is tectonic emotional plates have shifted in that moment. So these switches can be really, really indicative of changes in a scene. And when we're working on it as actors, I'm always looking for moments of change. Where does something change? Where does something change for the character? Where do they make a new discovery? But also, when does the dynamic between two characters change? When is, Ophelia and Hamlet, when is there no going back? How long do we hold on to the hope that that's going to work out before it's shattered? Yeah. I have some other things, but I realize we're kind of at time, but I absolutely want to offer, if there's any questions, please ask away.
We need to have you back again.
I was just curious, is this a women's prison that you did the teaching with, I assume the couriers, right?
Yes, with the couriers. Yes, I do. Leslie is my
I used to live in Red.
yeah.
No,
I work in exclusively currently men's prisons. I one of the institutions I work at, the California Medical Facility, has a lot of trans people who are incarcerated who have not yet fully transitioned. So that is a population that I also work with, but primarily it is cis men at Folsom Prison, Solano State Prison, and California Medical Facility. Hopefully very soon, California State Prison in Sacramento, which is a maximum security facility that's right next to Old Folsom Prison, as in Johnny Cash.
And so what's the things you do? Do you do them in scene work or monologues?
We do whole plays with them. So there is a incredible curriculum that has been designed with Leslie Currier, who is a hero, with Leslie and Soraya Keating, who is a drama therapist. Many of, like the structure of our day, we will do these very deep emotional check-ins, which is always sort of the icebreaker. Things that usually thematically link to the plays that we're doing. So one of my favorites that has rendered the most tears for me, just as a sitting there and listening, is can you talk about a time in your life when you trusted someone, and was that trust honored or was it betrayed? And we did that a lot. We talked about that a lot when we were working on Julius Caesar with that particular group. It's incredible to. I was just talking about this, that Jeff is working on the Claudius prayer speech. It's kind of incredible to hear those words of like, forgive me my foul murder, from someone who has potentially killed another human being. And the way that I'm completely unfocused on what it is they did. My entire focus is on like, what are we doing together and what are we building as a group? But there are moments that they actually volunteer and share, like, I don't know how this Shakespeare guy so accurately described what the feeling of guilt feels like. I don't know how he managed to capture betrayal in such a visceral way. I think one of the most moving comments was in the first workshop I ever did at San Quentin, when there was one of the participants had played Lavinia in Titus Andronicus.
Wow.
And we were going around, it was the end of this like 3-hour workshop, and he said, you know, I love Shakespeare, and I think the reason I keep coming back to this, oh boy, don't cry, is he gives me the voice I wish I had. And that's for me both the joy and kind of the tragedy of Shakespeare as its place in history. It has been used cruelly. Shakespeare has been used as a tool of cultural imperialism all over the world, as a way of erasing other people's words and culture. It has also been used to resist that erasure. One of my favorite stories is Julius Nyerere, who was the first president of Tanzania in the 60s when he was sort of fighting colonialist forces. He was translating Julius Caesar into Swahili at night as part of his propaganda tool to use to justify the uprising. So Shakespeare's scary to me in the ways that it can be used, right? It can, just as any tool can be used destructively or constructively, it has that capacity for both things. And the joy that I get out of the prison work is really just watching people rediscover their own voice. And it's always, I bring a lot of tissues. There's a lot of crying. It's the #1 rule of prison, don't cry. Don't let anyone see you cry. That's out the window. Everyone's crying. We're all crying. It's a great time. But that to me is also, in a very dizzying and difficult world, what can we do with the skills that we have? Aha, maybe we can chuck some tools over here. Yeah.
You mentioned your Zoom session a little earlier, and also you mentioned an architecture. Are they one and the same, and how can we get some more information?
Yes. So if you take, I have to talk to Leslie about setting up our tickets because she's our amazing ticket operator. But I will be doing 3 different courses this fall. Again, I'll be doing a 4-week one on rhythm, where we're just deep diving into the verse. It's a very micro look at rhythm and rhythmic irregularities. We'll then do a 2-week one on antitheses, which I just talked very briefly about, and then a 3-week one on repetition and figures of repetition in Shakespeare. I am very much of the opinion, like if you're interested and you do not have the finances to do it, just shoot me an email and I will make sure that I'm much more interested in having people come and attend the workshops if they're interested than being like, oh, I don't know. Basically, it's $50 a session, so the four session one is $200, the 2 is $100, and the 3 is $150. And then in the spring, I'll be reprising rhythm again, and then also doing a 2-week on imagery and a 3-week on architecture.
And do we sign up for all of those on the
You can
INC
do one.
website?
You can do. I've had a couple folks take over here. Amy takes all of them. But some people will take one. Some people will take one and then sign up for another one. And they're not progressive in terms of like you don't necessarily need one to attend the other ones. I do find rhythm to be the most basic and useful of all of them, just because it informs so many other aspects. But you can also have not taken rhythm and do any of the other ones. So tickets should be be within the first month, within the next month
On
for
the
that. So
website?
they will be on our website. Yes.
Thank you.
You just answered. How do you sign up?
Yes. Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.